What it takes to build a community that grows and attracts new members. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. So you are a coach, you're working one-on-one with people right now, but you want to now run a group program. And that's a great challenge to have within your business. Here's the thing though, you're starting to realize that a one-on-one program and a group program have something completely different in terms of spacing, and that basically is community. Building a community is one of the most difficult things that a coach or a practitioner can do. And it's not just because you have to find the people in the community, but it's because a community requires a lot of things. It requires delivering consistent value. It requires active filling of new people because, let's be real, people are going to leave at some point. And of course, it also involves giving people a reason to stay long past they got the results that they initially came for, because everyone's going to come in with an initial result. This is especially something true for online health coaches, and they have a hell of a time with this because they tend to be focused so much in the results piece that when it comes to providing value as well as just being able to deliver the extra, their focus is like, initial results. And then they're always focusing on getting new clients for them to make money instead of actually delivering consistent value to the people that are there. So what's the objective here? I'm really going to go through some things that you need to know to build a community right. That's basically going to help a community run itself. But I also want to share with you where I think coaches fail to launch their communities and why it's sometimes really hard to launch a community off the ground in the first place. So let's go into what coaches are doing wrong first, and then I'm going to go and tell you what you need to be or to have, inside of a community. Okay. So the first thing is this: most coaches go wrong when they're focusing on selling the programs. They're looking at just the offer and they're always talking about what the person gets. See, one of the biggest things, whether you're a coach that does nutrition, whether you're doing something like personal training, whether you have a naturopathic clinic and you're working on individual sessions, one of the things is a lot of the times we get stuck on the hours, the session times, how many sessions they get with us, what's the amount of time that they're speaking to us, what are the deliverables like the meal plan, what are the access to the program modules. And the thing is it's okay to show someone what is involved in your program. There's nothing wrong with that. What's difficult though is when you just talk about the offer, then they start to compare other things and they start to look at maybe someone else is doing something at a cheaper standpoint and they're not invested in the transformation. They become invested in the actionables, and the actionables will always change. Like there's no $300,000 meal program, but there could be a $300,000 transformation. So coaches that fail to talk about the transformation, that fail to talk about the result, and that only talk about the exact actionables that they get in their offer really struggles to build the community, because you'll get people who are just focused on initial results. You'll get people who are just focused on the amount of time that they spend with you, not in what they're going to experience through the journey of the transformation with whatever type of coaching that you're doing. Okay. Now, the second thing is it's really hard for a coach to build a community when they're not willing to show up as the group leader to keep the group going or to get it off the ground. One of the things is this: one-on-one coaching is so significantly different than group coaching. It takes a lot of work to launch a group off the ground because you have to show up daily and even more to encourage these people to post, to share, to comment. You have to show them that there is a safe space, in fact, to actually expand and to be themselves. And involving yourself as a leader like this means that a lot of coaches actually have to step up and they have to take it to a next level of coaching. When you coach one-on-one, you go deep with people. But when you're coaching in a group, you have to let people go deep with each other. And this is not just getting the people to initially have the conversation, but also making sure that you're encouraging regular conversation to get these people continuously effortlessly talking. Otherwise, you're going to work so hard to build this group up, and then the group is just gonna die. And this is where a lot of coaches are like, oh, I did all this work and then now it's just me posting in here and I don't understand what happened. And that's because you weren't showing up as that group leader, and you weren't encouraging them to take over the group, because a group community is actually about the group running itself. It actually has nothing to do with you always being the one posting and doing that. Okay. Now, the final thing that I see coaches doing wrong is most coaches build a group and then they start pushing the group to one-to-one coaching because they think it's going to get them a better result, or because they think that they can charge more money that way. That absolutely drives me nuts, because one of the biggest downsides to coaching people one-on-one is you run out of time. You run out of space to be able to coach people one-on-one, and there is a limit to your time. And truthfully, coaching one-on-one, you can provide the same value to someone in one conversation, and if someone else heard that same conversation, they could take value from it as well. I personally believe that group coaching is the best version of coaching, because everyone can learn from each other's experiences and they can hold each other accountable while still receiving customized coaching from you. So where a lot of coaches get this wrong is they don't have a lot of confidence in their group program because they don't have a lot of people in it. So what happens is they start to say, well, I can charge more working with people one-on-one. I don't really have a lot of people in the group, so I'm just going to start to push the people I get into the group to a higher price point, which is one-on-one coaching. And yes, your one-on-one coaching will be a higher price point, but the only way you get a group off the ground is to actually promote people into your group program. So having them work one-on-one with you does not guarantee a better result. As a matter of fact, it's really the same result. The only difference between working in a group or working one-on-one should not be getting a better result. It should be, am I looking to work with this person at such a high level that I get access to them immediately? Or am I willing to learn from other people's experiences? And am I looking for a community? That's the difference between doing that result. And if you hear the bell there, that's one of the successes. Our coaches actually on the other calls, which I absolutely love, when they're doing well, they actually ring a bell and they celebrate. So it's phenomenal. I absolutely love that. So if you heard that, yay! I'm excited to hear whatever that win was. Okay. So now that I've gone into kind of the three things of where the coaches go wrong, I want to dive into now the things that you need to have in a community for you guys to be able to build a community and to keep it successfully. So, I love it. People are celebrating out there and it's just firing me up right now. Celebrate. This is a large part of creating a community. When we create a community, we want people to celebrate. And again, I don't know if you can hear the bells, but celebrating as someone in a communal space or celebrating someone else's win is a really great way to keep a community invested in each other's results. Okay. So let's get into, actually, no, before I do that, before I go into what you guys need to have in a community, I actually want to share with you guys the next live training that I have coming up, because I have one coming up August 19th, and it's on the irresistible offer. And it's going to completely change the way that you actually put an offer together to get someone to sign up for your programs. So this training, it's free. It's free for coaches and for online practitioners, and it's going to show you how you formulate the length, the actionables, as well as the price to make someone say, holy shit, this is a no-brainer. I want to be a part of this program. And it'll get people in your DM saying, I need this now. So it's going to be on August 19th. So if you want to know what goes into an offer and you want to understand how to create scarcity and urgency without feeling sleazy or trying to force it, then you absolutely need to be there. Just DM me that you want the sauce, okay? Because tell Andrew, say, Andrew, I want the sauce. That's what I would love in my DMs. Because honestly, like truthfully, irresistible offers are always saucy, and there's something that people just want to absolutely have. So DM me, I want the sauce. It's August 19th. Don't miss it. Okay. Now, back to a regular note, okay? Now into the need to have for a community, for you guys to build a community right, okay? I'm going to go through basically 5 different things that you need inside a community for you to build the best community, okay? Number one, you do not build a program based on sessions of the amount of calls, especially if for a community, you create the program around lengths of commitment. One of the biggest things with community is people need to understand that being a part of a community means committing long term. So if you're building programs that are really short, 6 week, 8 weeks, if you're building programs that are session based, 10 sessions, 12 sessions, what you're telling people is that the length of this community is 12 hours or 6 weeks. That's not long enough to build relationships, to build true value, and to get them invested into this community. So when you're creating a program, you want your community to reflect a proper length of commitment for them to actually fully transform and to fully experience the community itself. This is why in our coach to coach container, coach to coach is a 6 month program minimum. It's 6 to 12 months. And the reason why is not just because I know that it takes 6 months for a coach to, let me hit my camera there. There you go. It takes 6 months for a coach to see transformation in their business, but also as well too, because building the community and having you guys talk to coaches back and forth is so valuable. You need to be plugged in long term for you to see the real fruition of that commitment. So we don't want to build short lengths of commitment because we're not going to get an extreme amount of change in such a short amount of time. We want to teach them that being a part of a community is about being a part of it long term. Now, number two, and this comes to creation of this community, we also need to set the price high above the median range of coaching. Coaching falls under two things. It falls under really low ticket, really cheap, and you get no support, or it's high ticket. When you're in the middle and you have a price point of $99 a month, $120 a month, you're in the range in which people are looking for cheaper or in which people are not properly invested in your community. And I'm not saying go and charge $1 million a month. No. What I'm saying though is just like a gym, when someone charges so cheap that they don't actually have an investment, like a $10 a month, like some of those gyms are like $1 a month now, which is ridiculous, but I'll go into kind of why that works for them later on. Like, they're not invested in the transformation of the person. And so the community becomes something that actually doesn't exist. You see, when people want to be a part of communities, when people want to be a part of something special, they invest at that same energetic level. And that's why you need to set the price at an appropriate range to make communities exclusive. If every single person can get in at $1, then you're going to attract people who are not really invested, because energetically and financially, the bar or the level of entry is super low. Like, basically anyone who has a buck in their pocket can get in. Versus if you have a group coaching program like with our Advantage Academy started at 2,500, then people have to be at a certain level energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally for them to be able to then decide if they need to be in this community or if this community is right for them. So setting an appropriate price, as well as the first point, setting a proper length of your program, can do huge amounts to affect and actually change the way that your community operates and the way people actually join your community. Now, once you have those things, number three, you need to have a space where we can help people build relationships. The community is not just about the results. The community is about the relationships and friendships and the connectivity to you along the way. Because once we give them the result, that's great. The result will be over. And maybe that'll take 2 weeks. Maybe that'll take 4 months. But after that, what keeps them staying in the community? Relationships. Like, I'm a part of a men's group, and a large part of me staying a part of this men's group is because I have built friendships with every single man there. I want to see them every week. I want to attend all of our coaching calls. I want to be that person who's actively engaged because I want to support them. So offering something like a group coaching call or a community call, whether it's once a week or every other week. The amount that you put in, it really depends on what type of coaching you have, but allowing a place where you can show up to help support everyone, but you allow people to share wins, you allow people to share their challenges and their struggles, and you also allow people to answer other clients' questions. And this is one of the best things that you can do, especially when you have a lot of OG members. If you've got people who have been in the community for 4 months, 8 months, 2.5 years, like our people in our Vantage program, these people are OGs. They have the answers, they have the coaching available within them. And the best way that you can help them be a better version of themselves is to allow these OGs to help answer the questions of the newer people coming in. So a coaching call isn't about putting up a slideshow presentation and no one talks during the call and you just give info and value. No, you can do that a little bit if you want, but the large part of coaching calls or community calls should be, first thing, you celebrate their wins. Second thing, you go through where the challenges are coming from. And the third, you give the opportunity for other people to step in and to provide a solution to that person. Then you sprinkle and you pepper in your coaching, and that makes it super engaging for people to stay in. They want to show up, they want to hear the wins, they want to contribute their own wins, and that's what's going to allow this to flourish long past the results. Okay, now number 4, you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, to build this community, like what, how do I actually build it? Okay, we need something to attract new members, but we also need to focus on building value for old ones. Where a lot of coaches get building a community wrong is they focus only on getting new people. So they will do live trainings, master classes, seminars that are free to build to build trust and get these people in. And then once they have them in the program, they stop delivering to people who are already in the program for 3 months or 4 months. And the problem with that is these people who have actually built trust in you, these people who are actually excited to be a part of your community, then feel lost. They feel a disconnect. And this is why a lot of older community members leave, because they're not getting the same value that they got at the very beginning. So offering exclusive trainings, offering program specific challenges, opportunities also where OG members can coach newer members. So I call this something like a big brother or big sister program, which works phenomenal to keep older members engaged, but also attracts newer people, because you can say, hey, we'd love to have you become an OG or a big brother or big sister. Is there anyone that you know that needs coaching? Because we can actually have you partner them as well as show up as the coach for them as well too. And they get excited about that. They get excited about bringing in their friends into this space where they see results and where they can show up as an authority. And this is where you get a group of people who are always talking about your program, who are always making referrals, who are always showing up at the highest level, because they are not only engaged as an older member, but you're offering upfront value to newer members, which makes it an absolute no-brainer for them. Now, number 5, the final thing, and this I cannot stress enough for you guys building a community. Once you start attracting people in, you must protect your culture inside this community. Guys, a community is not a program. A community is not a space. A community is a culture. And you know culture. Like if you're into CrossFit, you know what that culture is. Okay? If you're a D&D'er like myself and you play Dungeons and Dragons and you're a nerd, and guys, I'll be open, I'm a nerd, okay? You know what that culture is. You know who needs to be in that space, and you also know who will compromise that space. And especially as coaches, when you're building and you're working so hard to get people into your group programs, sometimes it's going to mean saying no to the person who's not going to be a good fit for that container. And that might be really hard for you, especially if you're like, but I want people in my group coaching program. One of the most detrimental things you can do as a coach is put the wrong person in the wrong container. And that means if someone really wants to see results, but they're super aggressive, they're overbearing, they're egotistical, maybe they have such a high level of confidence in people coming in or super nervous, you have to be conscious of the level of energy and the level of commitment. Maybe those people are good for one on one. But when you put people into a group container, before you build the container, you must ask yourself, what is the culture of this container? How are people gonna act to get the best from this? How are people gonna show up daily? What does it look like to be in this container? What is the feeling I want in this container? And by container, guys, if that's a new kind of word for you, it's program. It's that thing that they're in. I call it a container because everyone is going to be in a different space, and that's why I call it a container. Okay. But protecting the culture is so important because you only get one opportunity to build a group. And all it takes is one bad person, one negative apple, one person who continuously is messaging or DMing other people inappropriate things, or one person who's not using the space correctly and maybe venting when they should just be coaching. If they're not using the group right, or if they're showing up in a negative space inside the group, it will destroy the group. People will not want to show up to the calls. They will not want to engage in the program, and they will pull back hugely if they feel like trust is broken. Culture is the number one thing that leads a group and helps make it successful. So outside of making sure that you're keeping your OG members of building your group engaged, you also want to make sure that you've got upfront value and then you're setting your culture rules. If you have these 5 things, this is going to help launch your group and keep your group running long term. So, as an example of this, when we were running Fit for All Fitness's group, the Vantage program had an academy where people were 5 years in a group coaching program. And no, it didn't take them 5 years to see results because that's outlandish. But the biggest thing is we created a culture where people were always setting new goals. We created a culture where people were always looking for the newest information, where people wanted to hop on these calls so they could share their wins, where people wanted to attend so they can talk to others about what they were doing and how they were navigating different things in their life. So it became this initial thing of, oh, I want to see initial result. And then we showed them by staying plugged into the community or the group, I can allow myself to continue to grow long past the original goal. And the best part about this is a group is engaged. A group is engaged when you have a high amount of referrals from that group. When people keep saying, you need to be in the same crew that I'm in, why aren't you here? When people are always talking about your programs and when you're getting referrals, you know that your group is running well. When you have people who show up to the calls and they're so excited to share and they want to actively engage, you know you're doing your group right. You also know you're doing your group right when you say to yourself, holy shit, I actually don't have to do a lot of coaching because other people are showing up to provide answers and value to newer members or existing members. So ask yourself, if you already have an existing group, is it giving you referrals? Are people engaged? Are people showing up daily and providing that value? If not, then you really need to take a look at what culture you have and either start the group again, reorganize the group, or start showing up as the leader, because a lot of the times where the disconnect comes in is as coaches, we show up really easy one-on-one, but it's hard for us to show up at a 10x level for a group of people. And that's the most important thing that we need to do. Okay. So that's going to be all for this episode. Remember, guys, we're literally, I think, less than a week out from starting the Fast Launch program. The Fast Launch program is running August 24th. It is a 60-day program that helps launch and create a group coaching program in 60 days. Launch it, fill the program, create the client converting content on it, build the culture around it. So when people are joining, they're excited to be a part of the process. And then that way you can have this amazing container that you can continuously scale on. So do not miss out on that, because I can tell you something, we are not going to be running this program, and actually all of the programs outside of the C2C One thing too that I haven't really talked about with you guys is coach to coach, the container in which all of our coaches are making $10,000, where all of our coaches are basically getting access to every single program. In the coach to coach container, you get access to fast launch, you get access to our other programs, creating client converting content, no BS sales. You get access to each new program that we run as being a part of that community. So if you're someone who's like, hey, I want business coaching, I want to up level my business, but I also want access to fast launch, then be inside the coach to coach community, because you're still going to get your individual support, plus you're going to get that program. But if you feel like you're not there yet and you're like, hey, look, what I need is to just launch my group coaching program, then reach out and DM me fast launch. Let me know that you're interested in the program, and we can have a discussion to see what your program looks like, how, whether or not it's going to be a good fit for it. Because again, I'm very selective because I want to make sure that you basically we can guarantee that we can fill your program and get you to a point where your container is going to be filled and you have a phenomenal culture doing it. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. I'm always here to be able to answer those, to make sure that fast launch is a good fit for you. Or if you're like, hey, look, I'm just ready to up level already and join coach to coach, cool. You get fast launch with that as well. So look, step right into it. It's the best way to do it in my eyes, is like, hey, look, I want to have access to all the programs and get the coaching. BEA Beautiful is what? Oh, goodness. What is his name? Holy cow. Ace Ventura. No, not even Ace Ventura. What is his name? Oh, Bruce Almighty. There you go. No, wait a second. That's not. Yeah, no, it is. Oh, geez, I can't even remember his name. You guys are probably screaming right now, like, this is what his name is. And you know what? I'll remember his name as a movie star. I will remember his name like 2 seconds after I click the stop record button. And I'm trying to this is called an earworm, by the way, when you have something in your head, but you're like, I don't really know what it is. Oh, he was in Bruce Almighty. He was in Ace Ventura. Oh, geez. BEA Beautiful, but his name is. Geez. Okay. Well, you know what? Under this video, if you watch this video and you're like, I'm tired of listening to this painful this painful thing to say whoever it is, drop under the comments what his name is, and then I'll just edit and be like, yeah, boom, this is his name. So that's it. I will leave and end this video now. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure that again you reach out for fast launch, or if you're like, hey, look, I would love to build that irresistible offer, join the free live training for the irresistible offer as well. Okay, so either you want the sauce, or you want a fast launch, or you want both, that's cool with me too. We will catch you guys later. See ya.